Hi, I'm Rob, and today we're at Alfies in the city of Winchester. Now Alfies is an 18th century pub with a 17th century frontage. It's a very nice pub and it's Grade 2 listed. It was the old coach house and the India Inn. So here's Winchester's favourite son, Alfred the Great. And the statue was erected in 1899 to commemorate 1,000 years since his death. There's an interesting local legend about this statue. As you can see, he's holding the sword downwards. And the legend is that if virgins of the age of 16 years or greater run 3 times in a clockwise direction around the statue, King Alfred will lower his sword. So apologies to everybody in Winchester, but I'm going to a very quick history of the way Winchester has developed through the years. And Winchester started off as 3 Iron Age hill forts back in ancient times. There's one at Orham's Arbour, one at Worthy Down and another at St Catherine's Hill. Now pretty soon this turned into what's called an oppidum, which is a fortified town based loosely around here. That was overrun by a tribe called the Balgais. Now this was in the 1st century, and the Balgais were a Gaulish tribe from sort of French, German sort of areas of Europe. Anyway, when the Romans invaded during the Roman conquest, they named the town Venta Balgarum. Now Venta is Roman for town, and Balgarum is Balgais, basically, so the Romans named it Town of the Balgais. In the 7th century, the Saxons invaded, and the town became a little bit of a more familiar name, Winton Seistra. By the 9th century, we had the great King Alfred, who had a dream of a united England under one king, a united kingdom, basically. Seen King Alfred, and we're heading back up now towards the High Street, past this grand building here. Note it says Abbey Passage on the corner of it. This is Winchester Guildhall. Now, Winchester Guildhall was, or is, a Victorian building, municipal building, and it housed the fire brigade, the police, a library, a jail, all sorts of stuff. But the former site was the site of King Alfred's wife, Ælfswith, and she formed a nunnery there. Hence the name Abbey Passage, because the nunnery became St Mary's Abbey, which got destroyed in the dissolution of the monasteries. So this is the Butter Cross in Winchester. It's a famous market cross. As I said, it's built in the 15th century, and in 1770 they tried to take it apart stone by stone and take it to Cranberry Park for a large country estate, but the locals gathered and had a riot and prevented it. So around the cross, several carvings. There's the 12 virgins, there's King Alfred, there's the Bishop of Winchester, Wickham, All sorts of things that were added by the Victorians. So we leave the Butter Cross behind and we continue up the High Street past Little Minster Street, and that big clock you see is the old Hampshire Chronicle building. Now this is Jewellery Street, and as the name might suggest, it was the old Jewish quarter of the town. But we carry on forwards up towards the castle and the West Gate. So this is the West Gate, and that's all that remains of the 11th century Winchester Castle. Although Hampshire County Council have called their big brick edifice over there the castle. So just here opposite the Westgate pub, we turn left and we head down towards the Great Hall. So this is all that remains of Winchester Castle, just the basement passages and of course the West Gate. Now Winchester was the ancient capital of England, more important than London, any other city, because it was the seat of the king, in this case King Alfred. Now speaking of the Great Hall, this is the Great Hall over here, and it was added by King Henry III in the 13th century. So it's a shame the Great Hall's closed because of this COVID thing again, but inside is the round table of King Arthur fame. It's not the real one, it's one that was made in medieval times. It was originally plain, but in the 16th century King Henry VIII had it painted with Arthur, that looks a lot like himself, in the centre, and the Knights of the Round Table all the way around. So just before we leave this area, I'm going to go down into the castle passages, which are locked, but I'm going to turn on the old phone torch and see if we can see what's in here. Oh, not much of a help. Alright, so come down the steps from the Great Hall, through where the law courts are. I'm going to wind our way back to the Market Square and the Cathedral. I'm not sure if we can get through there with this building work going on there. So back out through here, come out behind the statue of the man on the horse. So we walk back down to the corner of Southgate Street, and we're going to walk around the corner into Southgate Street. So on the corner of St Clement Street, we leave Southgate Street, head down here. So there's a left, there's a right, and there's a straight on. And we head straight on past Wine Utopia. So we've turned right, and we're going to go left down this alley towards the City Museum. And in front is the City Museum. To say there is so much history in Winchester, you need to come back and do it properly. Anyway, this is the Market Square. And the Market Square is famous for the bloody assizes at the law courts we saw earlier on. But also, this was the site of the last beheading of a woman in the United Kingdom, and that was Alice Lisle. So we leave the market square behind and we head down towards the cathedral. Always very popular in summer, and picnickers around lunchtime, which it is now. So this is Winchester Cathedral. It was built in the year 1079. It's the longest cathedral in Europe, or the longest Gothic cathedral in Europe. It's the burial place of kings like Egbert, Canute, Rufus, and in the older part of the new Minster, Alfred the Great is buried somewhere. In 1906 it was sinking, so they employed a diver called William Walker to take himself underneath the cathedral, which was sort of flooded with water, because this is all on like a floodplain for the River Itchen. And he spent 5 years from the year 1906 under the cathedral shoring it up. 5 years. The man's a local hero. Anyway, let's have a look and see if we can just see inside for 2 minutes. So there is an entrance charge to come in, but it's well worth it. There's a lot to see. We've no time to look at everything today, but as I say, do the walk and come back another day and have a look. Marvellous, enormous stained glass window. So we come out of the cathedral and you walk down the right hand side along this line of buttresses. Well, that's a very old oak tree.
Tony, alright?
Hello.
How are you managing with all this COVID nonsense? You healthy? No difficulties? No. Living up on my own. Yeah.
And when you get to College Street, roadworks fest in Winchester at the moment. So if you've seen my Chawton walk, you'll know that Jane Austen moved from Chawton to Winchester when she was really ill, and she died in Winchester. But this is the house she died in. And she died on the 18th of July 1817, as the plaque says. So this is Winchester College, part of it. It's founded in 1382 by the Bishop of Winchester, William of Wykeham. It's the oldest English public school in the country, obviously. So let's go in and see if we can find someone to have a chat with us, because I know they do college tours. We'll find out more about that. So we've actually found the head porter in Winchester College, and he'll tell us a little bit more about the tours. So what's involved then?
Okay,
First of all, it's a guided tour with a tour guide, and they take you around the ancient part of the college, and the tours take place every day from Monday through to Saturday, 10:15, 11:30, 2:15 and 3:30 in the afternoon. And on a Sunday it's from 4:15 and at 3:30. The tour lasts approximately an hour. It starts at the ancient gates, which is outer court, and the tour guides take you through and explain all the various points of interest. The college is over 600 years old, so it's the oldest college in the country of continuous education. And they'll take you through to the ancient part of the college and show you where the boys live, where they go to chapel, where they eat their meals, etc., and also the older parts of the grounds. What you won't see, of course, is where they won't be allowed into the classrooms or any of the boys' chambers. The tour lasts approximately an hour. There is some stairs involved, so it's not ideal for elderly people or disabled people. And because of the ancient cobbles that we've got laid down here, again, it's not ideal for wheelchairs and wheelchair users and that.
So that was very interesting. We've come out of the college now and we're heading off to the right after you come out of the gate. So we've got the Bishop's Palace on the left, the home of the Bishop of Winchester. There's Wolsey Castle over on the left as well, and we won't be going in here. As I say, it's far too much to see on one walk, but have a little screw at this. So there you go, Bishop's Palace and Wolsey Castle. So we track back and we walk along College Walk, and we're going out into the nice Winchester countryside. So we're heading to St Cross via the Water Meadows, which means walking through the Winchester College car park and following our noses. So interesting fact that in the grounds of Winchester College is a very, very old mill that was defunct as a mill after a while and used as a workshop. And now even the workshop's defunct and moved down the road. But anyway, there's an old mill down there. But we're heading off down the footpath across the Water Meadows. Next stop, St Cross Hospital. So this is still Winchester College. That Georgian building is the Science School. And the one with the turrets there is the Art School. And all the playing fields. Going forward. So the pavilion on the playing fields over there is called Hunter Tent. So a lovely spot to sit, looking over the river and the playing field. Well, the name of the playing field is Gatorfield. Beautiful, this countryside. So the path soon emerges onto Garnier Road. And there's Meadow View there, but we cross the road and we take the path to the right of Meadow View and straight on. Little fish down there. Little fish down there. So St Catherine's Hill, the old Iron Age hill fort in the distance. St Catherine's Chapel was in the middle of that group of trees, which locally is called the Clump. And there's also a Mizmaze up there. I'll put some pictures up later. Meanwhile, the cows are sensible. They know the shady places to get out of the heat. And how to get rid of the flies. So we're entering the grounds of the Hospital of St Cross, an almshouse of noble poverty. Founded in 1832, a living community of 25 brothers. It's open to the public with a shop and a tea room. And they also dish out the Wayfarers' Dole, which is believed to be an ancient custom of offering beer and bread to pilgrims. So there's the Hospital of St Cross. So follow the path along and you can see the St Cross Hospital. You can see the footpath sign. So we hang a right, follow the wall along and see if they're still offering Wayfarers' Dole. And through the gate. And this part of the walk is part of a long distance walk actually, the Clarendon Way. Oh, what a shame it's closed today, it's the coronavirus business again. Shame. Okay, so I've just asked if we can video inside, but because of the almshouses and their elderly residents, obviously they're being shielded from the coronavirus, so we can't go inside. It's a shame, but there are other videos on the internet showing the Wayfarers' Dole and showing the almshouses, so I suggest you have a look at those. But what a shame. I was looking forward to this bit. Should have known really. So back onto our path through this gate. So all disappointed, we're following the path now, turn right at the end of the wall and carrying on. Get these tantalising glimpses, but we're not to visit. Oh, woe is me. So from the back of the hospital you can see the almshouses, part of them.
They need to keep going, darling.
Carry forward. So at the end of the track we're on to the old Five Bridges Road. Now this road used to be one of the main roads into Winchester. If you come from Twyford, you'd cross the traffic lights and straight down this road into St Cross and into Winchester that way. But since the motorway it's been closed, and it's a very nice cycle track now. See, very popular for a walk. So there's the old viaduct for the London, Newbury and Didcot Railway, which is now defunct. Anyway, lovely views off this bridge. Lovely clear river. Lots and lots of eelgrass down there. Wonderful. It's the River Itchen. But we carry on forward up the old road. And there's the even better shot of the viaduct. I think, don't hold me to it, it's the longest concrete viaduct in the UK. Even though it looks like brick, well it is brick, it's a concrete inner with a brick facing. There's an old city boundary marker from 1932. At the end of the road, this was the old Hockley traffic lights, the bane of the life of many people that were stuck in traffic jams coming down to the south coast. And here, the old brick supports for the railway bridge that went over for the aforementioned London, Newbury and Didcot. So from the sign, heading up the hill through this gate. Now this hill is the spoil from the Twyford cutting, and we're actually stood in the middle of the Hockley traffic lights as they were on the dual carriageway of the main A33. So as we carry on, you can hear the amount of traffic going along the M3 now. And of course it goes through non-stop through the cutting. I sometimes wonder what the traffic queues would be like these days, because there's so much more traffic than back in the 90s when the traffic lights disappeared. So quite a steady climb up here. Now if you wanted the easy option and weren't particular about St Catherine's Hill, then you could have just followed the cycle way back along and it would join in with the latter part of this walk. Full of butterflies, this chalk meadow. Right, so what, two choices, left and right. Left takes you down into the plague pits and then you can go up some chalk steps to the top of St Catherine's Hill, or you can go this way, which is the way we're going, which takes you along the top of the ridge for the plague pits, and then we go up to on St Catherine's Hill and we're going to come down the stone steps. So it's up to you, but we're doing this way. So the little valley at the bottom of St Catherine's Hill are called the Plague Pits, and they're called that for a good reason, because all the dead of Winchester during the plague were brought out here on the back of a horse and cart and buried in mass graves all the way underneath this. So you soon get to a bench for Cameron, Crookshank, Bespoker, and the path carries on along there. But what we're going to do is go down this slope, along the plague pits, and up the other side. I don't know what that is, but I'm with my mate Trev, who's doing a bit of filming. I'm going to leave it there a while just to see if it bites. So we're, after that, almost had one more body to bury in the plague pits here, bitten by insect unknown. A bit worried about that, weren't you? So onwards. So at this point we take a left up through the cow parsley up to the top of St Catherine's Hill. So So head up the hill towards the clump. So it's literally only about 50 yards on from that very steep path. There's a less steep path that take us up to the same place. So here's the Mizmaze. It's a medieval style labyrinth type maze, so you can't get lost in it. You just follow the chalk cutouts until eventually they get you to the middle. Now it's said that it was cut by a Winchester College schoolboy who was banished to St Catherine's Hill for bad behaviour, and in the time he had up here reflecting on his wrongdoings, he decided that he was going to cut a medieval Mizmaze. It's thought to date from about 1712. Sad thing for the boy is that he committed suicide at the end of one summer term, so not a happy ending, but this is his legacy. So St Catherine's Hill, 624 metres high, and it was the site of one of the original 3 hill forts around Winchester, and in the middle of this clump was a 12th century chapel called St Catherine's Chapel. Now they think Southampton. Now they think that St Catherine's Hill was called that because it's fairly round, and of course St Catherine was put to death on a wheel, i.e. like a St Catherine's wheel. Oh, I wonder who's the flowers left for the fairies. I think there's a fairy door. Yeah, look at that. How lovely, forever and always. And ironically, this was the site of the chapel here, and we're right in the middle of what was the Iron Age hill fort. Anyway, let's go and enjoy the scenery over Winchester. So we'll take this path to the right, out of the clump and back out onto the hill, and enjoy a panoramic view. So come out of the clump, and we're going to walk along this nicely defined chalk path around the edge of the hill. Enjoy the rest of the views. So eventually you get to the dead tree, and a very much alive tree, and we go down these very nice steps. Much better than they used to be. Used to be a plank and a couple of stakes and slippery chalk. Now you have to be a bit of a numpty to fall down here. So if you listen as we walk down here, sounds like we're playing dueling banjos. So we're heading for the gate which leads us back out onto the cycleway and the path. From here we turn right. So we carry on along here. Interesting piece of concrete artwork. Well, not much to show that it was a railway track once upon a time, but there's that, the old gradient marker. I think that's what it is. Mark Cooper put me right. Gradient marker, am I right? Am I right? I think I'm right. So pretty soon the cycleway meets up with the pathway into the Garnier Road car park. You can just see the cars appearing here. So there's a new cafe opened up in about a year or so ago, Handlebars Cafe, handy for the cycle path. So a little bit more about St Catherine's Hill. And there's now an alternate route through this brick arch. Through this brick arch, there's another route up onto St Catherine's Hill. So we could have come down that way. So back through the arch, take us back into the car park after that little detour. And we're going to go through the car park, out across the road, which is Garnier Road, and onto this path you can see opposite. So we leave the old railway behind, and slightly over to the left we pick up the Pilgrim's Trail back alongside the river. So we follow the follow the gravel path along. Lots of kids in there today and their inflatables. That's the headless swan of Winchester. It's a ghost. Nice tree house up in the tree. And this path is leading us to the Wharf Hill area of the city. Now the cow's going for a bit of a gallop down by the river. Very nice house on the riverside. Although a bit dodgy 2 or 3 years back with the bad flooding that they had around Winchester. Alright, so at this point we come away from the river. Right, so turn left at the top of the path, back in the city proper. So come from the path onto the Wharf Hill Road. And we turn right and follow it this way. So we get to this lovely old tiled house and a bit of green, and we turn left and we've got the very old against the very new. So round the side of the new flats, over the bridge, a fairly fast running part of the river here. As I say, in the floods a few years ago, this was getting uncomfortably high. But all is well today. So this is the site of an old mill. So this is the mill from 1885, converted to flats. So that would be the mill race. So as we pan up the river, it's a lovely little bridge over the river in someone's back garden. And that's Wolsey Castle. Blimey, scary stuff. St Mary Magdalene's almshouses. So as we go back up onto the main road again, over there, a bit close to the public, is the old city mill. Now on another day, that's the Watervold Trail, the other end of the city at Winnell Moors.
So here we are, we're back at Alfies. We had a really interesting walk, very historical, more history than you can shake a stick at in Winchester. You need to come back on another day and do the museums and all the other things. It's just that historical. We've done 7 miles and it's been lovely. Bit of city, bit of history, lovely countryside. A strenuous walk up the hill, but you can bypass that if you want. So if you enjoyed that walk, then like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.